everybody. Thanks for stopping by SmokinSteve's today. As you can see, I got a couple bikes here in front of me. They're the Ride1Up 700 series, 700 ST. The wife and I are venturing out and starting this biking thing, and we've got a couple new e-bikes here, and I just got through putting them together, and we're going to be doing a video on unboxing and assembly. We're still going to be doing the cooking videos, the barbecue videos, so you will want to be watching for those. Now the wife and I just recently moved to Venice, Florida, and there's all kinds of biking trails here and what have you. And every time you go out in the car, there's bikers. So we thought we'd give it a try. So I hope you enjoy the videos. We're going to be doing reviews on the bikes. We're going to be taking short trips. We're going to take some scenic routes, and I'll be posting those videos. So guys, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and ring that bell. That way you'll get notifications whenever I come out with a new video, and you won't miss anything. So let's go ahead and get these guys unboxed, show you how we got them assembled. All right, here she is, all boxed up. Ride1Up 700 series. You're gonna have to forgive the mess. We're out here in the garage. We have to have room to put this thing together. So, here's the one I put together yesterday. That's for the wife. That's a Ride1Up 700 series. And as you can see, there's the empty box. So we're gonna go ahead and get this box opened up and take a peek inside. Okay, we got the box all opened up, and as you can see, this stuff is really packed in here. And it looks like everything is really protected well with the wrap. And as you can see, there's a lot of tie wraps and stuff in here. Everything's tie wrapped together. I found that out on the first one, and it's quite a job getting all this out of the box. So here's what I'm using to cut those tie wraps with. It's a pair of diagonal wire cutters. So that comes in real handy. You might be able to cut them with a good pair of scissors or whatever, but we're going to go ahead and get started and get this stuff unpacked and get it all laid out so you can take a look at it. Okay, we got everything unwrapped. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. That whole process of getting it out of the box and getting everything unwrapped probably took 40 minutes to an hour. I never did look at the watch or the time, but it feels like it took about 40 minutes to an hour. So we got everything laid out. We got the nuts and bolts, and there's those Allen wrenches and 2 open end wrenches, and also you may need a crescent wrench. And I use this screwdriver here. I just popped that tip out and used that for a nut driver to get that rear tail light assembled. And a pair of diagonals. And here's the charger. 2 pedals. The rack. Front fork. This here is the want to hold that fork on, a little quick release. Got the seat, there's that sock cap, front wheel, front fender, sprocket, and the bike. So we're going to go ahead and get that front fork in. That's the first step, and it may come to a point where we need somebody to hold the bike and steady the bike for us, but I'm going to go ahead and try to do it by myself. Okay guys, let's go ahead and take a little closer look at this front fork that we have to put on the bike. What you got to do, right here's the fork, and this is the top. You need this little wrench here. Pop this top, loosen that up, that comes out. There's some rings on here, spacer rings. Those all come off. Then this bottom sleeve here, we need to take all that off and set it aside. After we get that fork stuck back in there, we'll be sliding these spacers on this thing, then the handlebars, and then we'll tighten it all up with this. So you want to hang on to all these pieces, but I'm going to go ahead and get all this taken off and get this fork inserted into the bike. Okay guys, I'm down here where you can get a little better look. Right inside here, there's a little sleeve here. We got to pull that out and put that back in once we get the fork inserted in there. So let's go ahead and just set that aside, because when you stick this fork in, if that's still in there, it's going to push it up and maybe fall somewhere and you're not going to be able to find it. So go ahead and take that out, set it aside. And as you can see, we got all of our sleeves and everything off of here. So it's just a matter of lifting this guy up. Inserting that fork. Just like so. And you can see where this little tub and a little extra weight helps hold this bike up for me. So I think I'm going to be able to do this by myself. On the first bike, I had the wife help me hold it, but we'll got a little bit to go yet, so we'll see how it works out. So first of all, that little ring we took off, that little keeper, we want to go ahead and slide that back on. Get that positioned so it slides on in there good. And next, we got our 3 sleeves here. Those don't go on just yet. This little piece right here, that'll be going on next. So just slide that on like so. Now the 3 spacers. Now the handlebars. Just like so. And this piece here that we took off the top of the fork to slide those little spacers off. Now it's time for this guy. That'll go right in here. Just like that. And you want to try to center this up with the fork here. See how it turns? So you want to try to center it up the best you can right now. We can always go back and adjust it later. But we're going to take our Allen wrench and snug that up a little bit. Make sure everything's aligned good. Center those handlebars up with that fork. Tighten this bolt up. You want to get these bolts fairly tight, but you don't want to pull extra hard on them. You let them strip them out or even break them. So that's pretty good. And looks pretty well centered up in that fork. Now I think I failed to mention, when you're putting that fork on, you want to make sure this piece right here is toward the front of the bike. So that does it for the fork, and the next step will be the front wheel. Okay guys, I got the front wheel set in here, and this is our quick release we're going to use to mount that front wheel with. and you just simply screw that end off. There's 2 springs on here, one for each end of the wheel, or each side of the wheel. Here's a spring. That'll go on there like that. The spring is tapered, and the small end of the spring will go towards the wheel. So we're going to take that off, set it aside for right now. And at the other end, we have another spring. It's also tapered, and the tapered end will go towards the wheel. So right now, I'm going to try to lift this bike up and get that wheel in there the best I can without having any help. I may have to get some help, but it'd be a lot easier if you know, you had a bike stand and this thing was up in the air, stationary, rather than just leaning up against something. So we're going to try to get this inserted and see what happens. It's a real balancing act, but I got it on there. So now what we need to do, go ahead and take this piece right here, slide it in on the side away, on the other side opposite this brake. So once we get that slid through there, we're going to put that spring on, tapered in towards the wheel, and take this nut, screw that on. Now here's the tricky part. You don't want to get this real tight because you want this lever over here to release the wheel. So if you get it too tight, you won't be able to push that forward. If you don't get it tight enough, you know, it's not going to hold. So and also this tire, you need to make sure that's kind of in the center of this fork. And that's tough to do with one person, but I'm staying right now. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this a little bit. As we tighten that, we're going to operate this lever over here. Right now it's way too loose. Okay, we're starting to get a little resistance. Crank it some more. There's a little more. A little bit more. Okay, that's too much because I can't push that. You don't want to force it. So let's go ahead and release it. Back this off a little bit. Let's try that again. Okay, as I rock this back and forth, this wheel moves in the center of the fork here. So I can get that aligned the best I can in the center of that fork. Close that up. We should be good to go. Okay. Now, on the other bike I assembled, I pumped the tires up last, and I had to continue to use this thing here to hold the bike up. But this time I'm going to pump the tires up. I'm going to put about 25 pounds in them. The tires are marked 20 to 40 pounds, and I'm going to start out at 25 pounds, see how it rides. Maybe I'll want to take some out, maybe I'll want to put some more in. But we're going to start out at 25 pounds and see how that rides out and adjust it from there. But right now I'm going to pump these up, and then I'll be able to use that kickstand to hold this bike up. Okay, as you can see, it's standing on the kickstand now. I got that towed out of the way, that bag of dirt, but it sure did come in handy. Hold that bike. But we got those tires pumped up. Now that kickstand's holding it up. So next step, we're going to head and put on this front brake assembly. Mount that onto the bike right there. So we'll show you how that's done. Okay guys, first of all, there's a little clip right here that cable's supposed to run through. So we'll get that dressed in there after we're done. But we don't want to route it back here. We want to bring it through here and route it through here so that we can use that clamp. Now there's a gap right in here. This little keeper right here, we need to pull that out. That comes out, okay? Just toss that aside. That'll be going in the trash. But this gap right here will fit right here on this. And we want to keep out the wobble, and we don't want that rubbing on there. So there is a little bit of adjustment here, right and left, so we'll be adjusting that as we go. And this other little piece right here, that goes on right here, slides on there, and will bolt up to these two guys right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done and pause the video while I do that. Okay, I did get it mounted on here. The cable was a little short, so just moved the handlebars a little bit, give a little bit of slack in this cable here, and then I got the bolts started. So we're gonna snug them up a little bit. We're not gonna tighten them all the way yet. We may have to adjust them left or right. Like I say, we don't want this guy rubbing. So we're going to snug them up a little bit. Still free to move, right? So we're going to get down, take a look at, and see what it looks like. And then move it side to side and get it adjusted, and then tighten that up. Okay, we got it all tightened up there, and I think it's lined up pretty good. What we're going to do is pick this front end up a little bit and give this front wheel a spin. And it's rubbing on that cable right there now, but we'll have that out of the way. So give it a little spin. Make sure it's not rubbing on that brake assembly, and it's not. And you can also look at the wobble in the tire, and it seems to be running pretty true, and it's also in the middle of the fork here. So looks like we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and snug that up real good and move on to the next step. Okay guys, next what I'm going to do is go ahead and put this front fender on. This little guy right here, we got a bolt that goes through that. That's the bigger bolt out of the bunch that you're going to use. And it's going to bolt up right here on this front fork. But also we got this light that's going to go on there. And it's going to bolt up right there. And then the front fender will bolt up to that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get that mounted on and show you what's next. Okay, I got that light all mounted up and the front fender secured right here. Got that nice and tight. So now it's just a matter of getting these guys mounted right here on each side, and we got bolts and washers and nuts to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Okay guys, I got this side all mounted up and tightened up here, but I did have to loosen this right here, and this moves back and forth, and I'll move that fender away from that tire a little bit. It was up a little too tight, so I had to loosen that up and slide that back a little bit. So now I'm going to finish up the other side and tighten this up first, finish up the other side, and then we'll be going to the next thing. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and install these pedals. Now they are marked right and left. Here's the left one right here, little L on there. So we're going to go ahead and screw that on. Left-hand thread on this pedal. So we're going to screw that on. Grab us a wrench, get that baby tightened up, then we'll go ahead and get the other one on. Okay, before we get that other pedal screwed on, we need to install this guy right here. Okay, and in order to do that, they got some rubber tape on here protecting this shaft. So all that needs to be removed. Okay, I got all that rubber tape removed. Now it's just a matter of sliding this on. As you can see, a square hole there and a square shaft. So we're just going to slide that on like so. And it's got this bolt right here that we're going to run in there and hold that in place. I have torque recommendations for tightening this up, but I don't happen to have a torque wrench. So we're just going to make sure it's nice and snug. We'll hang down on that as you tighten. That's plenty tight right there. Now we're going to go ahead and put that chain on. So we're going to grab that chain. And you can push this guy right here forward and slide over all that to make it easy to get on that front sprocket. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and screw that other pedal on. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Okay, this pedal is right-handed threads. So we're going to get that guy screwed on there, get him tightened up, and we'll be good to go here. Okay, that's good and tight. So we'll go on to the next step. Okay, well, next step, we're going to go ahead and put this rack on right here. This back rack fits over the top of that back fender. And you got this little bracket here. 2 holes in it. Got 2 bolts right here that will bolt up and hit that bracket. And you got a little slot right here on this rack. It'll go right here on the fender, a little screw right here. It's not quite in the picture, but there's a screw right there. Then you got one on each side that goes down by the rear axle. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy bolted up and tightened up, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, I got this rack mounted and all secured. Now when you put this on, go ahead and start these 2 bolts behind the seat, but don't tighten them up. Leave plenty of slack in those because you have to shift that rack back and forth. And also there's a bolt under here that you want to loosen up. Right underneath there. Loosen that guy up so you can slide that rack. And also this one back here that bolts in the fender. Leave that loose. Because down here, on these brackets right here on each side, you have a little trouble getting that to line up with those holes if everything's tight. So if everything's loose, you have enough movement there to get those secure, then go back and tighten everything up, and it works out just fine. So next is the seat. This seat here, you got a quick release on it, so we're going to go ahead and release that so we can pull this up a little bit so we can work on it a little better. I'm not real sure where it's going to wind up at, but we'll just lock it into place right here for the time being. Now what we want to do is loosen this up. There's a bolt underneath here that we're going to tighten up as soon as we get that seat swung in there. This seat has these brackets right here. So you want to start right here and slide that on. We're going to turn it sideways, like so. There we go. And it's just a matter of tightening that screw up there, get that clamp to hold that. Snugged up a little bit. Go ahead and snug that bolt up. Tighten that guy up. That should be good. Then you can go ahead and release this. Turn it. Try to line it up with the frame of the body. Next, you could jump on it and adjust the height of it. Make sure it's the right height for you. And the only thing we got left, I think, is the rear tail light. So we'll go ahead and get that on there. Okay, we got this tail light to put in here yet. And we got two little bolts here, and they'll slide in this bracket right here. And then we'll have two nuts that we're going to put on the back side, tighten those up, and we're going to be good to go. So let me get those nuts and get those on and show you the finished bike. Okay, got that rear tail light on, all bolted up and secure, and they sent Velcro straps, so I dressed the wire up here a little bit with the 3 Velcro straps. So there's the finished bike, looking good. As we scan the area here, as we look around, I don't see any spare parts laying around. We do have the charger sitting there, and all of our tools right there. All in all, I call it a success. So it probably took, I didn't really time it, look at the time or anything, but feels like 2.5 hours or so, maybe 3, 2.5, 3 hours to get this guy assembled. So it's looking pretty good. Hey guys, that does it for the unboxing and assembly of the Ride1Up 700 ST series. I'm not a professional at installing or building these bikes or anything like that. And it took 2.5, 3 hours, and it went together good. Everything seems to be all right. We'll take it out on a test ride here. Took the bike that I built last night or yesterday on a test ride, and it turned out to be perfect. So if you'll follow this video and do it this way, it should work out great for you. But we're going to be doing a lot with the bikes. We're going to be doing some reviews on the bikes, take them out for test runs, do some scenic rides, and show you those as well. So, and Also, we're going to have some great cooking videos coming up on this channel, so you want to catch those too. So guys, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications for whenever I make a new video. And thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.